Hi everyone, welcome to an intro on ecology. My name is Aishi and I'm a junior in high school. I have a really deep interest in biology which I hope I can share with you. So let's get started. What I hope you can take away from this lesson is a deeper understanding of the world around us and the different organisms that inhabit these areas. We're going to build different skills such as learning different habitats and areas of the world and organisms and how they affect each other. So, the big question, what is ecology? So ecology is the scientific study of the interactions of organisms with their environment. So ecologists in the real world will study organisms and gather information such as where they live and how many live in that specific area. It's important to learn about ecology because it helps us understand how the world works. Humans are only one of the many organisms that live on the earth, so we need to understand the relationship between not only humans on the earth, but the other creatures as well. This can help us understand future problems like global warming and pollution. So here are some important words to understand when it comes to learning ecology. So the first word is habitat, which means the specific environment an organism lives in, including both the living and non-living components. So an example of a living component would be plants and animals, and non-living components would be things like the air, rocks, and soil. And the second important word is organism, which is an individual living thing such as bacteria, fungi, protists, plants, or animals, which is mainly what ecologists research and observe. So there are different levels of habitats, going all the way from the smallest one, population, to the largest one, biosphere. So a population is a small group of individuals belonging to one species and living in the same area. So for example, let's say a small group of fish. Now adding on to that would be a community, so a bunch of organisms living together and interacting. So along with the fish, there might be some turtles. Now going even above that is an ecosystem. So this is where all the organisms in one area are living and interacting peacefully together. So this would be, let's say, the turtles and fish in a pond. So this would be the living components, the turtle and the fish, and the non-living components, the water, sunlight, and wind. Now going even above that is a landscape. So these are several different ecosystems combining together through an exchange of energy, materials, and organisms. And then finally, the largest one, biosphere, is an entire portion of the Earth inhabited by life, and it's the sum of all the planet's ecosystems added together. So here's a little visual example to help you better understand the different levels of habitats. As I said earlier, you can see how the fish slowly go from a small population to include a larger group, which later becomes a larger part of the Earth, the biosphere. So on to another really important part of ecology, factors that influence life. So like humans, all organisms need energy, temperature, heat, and nutrients, such as food and water, to survive. This applies more to than just animals and plants you can see. For example, microorganisms and particles also require all these factors. Fun fact, they absorb light, which is why most photosynthesis happens on the ground or at water's surface. When you get deeper into water, sunlight doesn't hit anymore, so then these particles have to find nutrients in other forms. Because every organism has different needs, they have specific areas of the world they can live. This is mainly due to evolution and how over time each organism developed traits that would let them live and thrive in specific areas. It's because of these developed traits that different animals can't move around the world. For example, it would be harder for a polar bear to live in the desert and a lion to live in Antarctica because they don't have traits suited for those conditions. So the different areas of the world where plants and animals can essentially live are called biomes. These are very similar to landscapes, which we talked about earlier when classifying habitats. So what is a biome? A biome is a community of plants and animals that have common characteristics for the environment they live in. These can be found over a different range of continents. There are both land and aquatic biomes. We're going to focus mainly on the land biomes. And land and aquatic biomes are connected through the water cycle. So biomes are usually classified by the temperature and the levels of precipitation. There are 9 major land biomes, which are separated mostly by plants. So now, diving a little bit deeper into the 9 major biomes. The first one we're going to talk about is tropical forests. These are known for their high levels of rainfall, warm temperatures, and tall broadleaf trees, which are the most common form of vegetation. Animals in this area have evolved to use the trees for shelter and scavenge for food. This is because there are so many animals in this biome that the animals have evolved to use what they can. The next biome we're talking about is the savanna. So this is a biome dominated with grasses and scattered trees. It's known for its hot weather and long periods of drought. There's a lot of herbivores and their predators that live in this area. The next of the 9 biomes is the desert. This is the driest of all the biomes and has the least amount of rainfall. Organisms in this biome have adapted to sparse rainfall and fast evaporation. Temperatures can vary, so some deserts can be very hot where others can be really cold. Next is the chaparral. These contain evergreen shrubs that have adapted to both drought and fires over time. They are known for mild rainy winters and hot dry summers. Now, moving on to temperate grasslands. This is a region maintained by seasonal drought, occasional fires, and grazing of large animals. There's not many trees or large shrubs, it's mostly plain grasslands. They have less rainfall than savannas and have hot summers and cold winters. Next is temperate broadleaf forests. This is a biome located through many regions where there's enough moisture to support the growth of large trees. This region has the most distinct seasons. Next is coniferous forests. This is a biome characterized by cone-bearing evergreen trees. It has a variety of plant life with hot summers and cool winters. The taiga. This is the largest terrestrial biome, characterized by long snowy winters and short wet summers. It's mostly found at higher elevations. It's very, very similar to coniferous forests, but unlike them, taiga spent most of the year in a cooler, snowy winter. And finally, the 9th major biome, the tundra. This is a biome that covers the Arctic area between taiga and polar ice. Most of the soil is frozen, so there is some, but not much plant life. So now, after studying the 9 major biomes, which biome do you think is the closest to where you live? Try and think about which biome you're in whenever you travel or go someplace new. This will help you further your understanding about ecology. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this little introduction to ecology. Here's some extra information if you want to learn more. There's information, videos, and games to help you further your understanding on the topic. And finally, here's just a little bit about me. I really hope you enjoyed learning about ecology.